Well, my dear brothers and sisters, along with Bishop Evans, I want to extend to each and every one of you a very warm welcome to our cathedral. Special welcome to our students and teachers and administrators and supporters of our Catholic schools throughout the diocese who have come together on this very important occasion today. Along with the celebration of Holy Mass, this is an opportunity for us to affirm the very, very good and important work of our Catholic schools throughout the diocese, and to thank all of those who are so personally dedicated and supportive of their success. So thank you so much for coming to the cathedral today. Special word of thanks also to everybody who has planned our liturgy for today and everybody who is assisting in any way. As you know, of course, we come together on this very important day in the life of the Church, Ash Wednesday, to begin the holy season of Lent. Just a very brief reflection upon the meaning of the Lenten season for us today. A few days ago, I was speaking with a friend of mine, and we were talking especially about how young people, people your age especially, have become so very, very good at using technology these days. All of you present today, all of you young folks, you've grown up with, you've gotten used to, you are expert at things like computers and the internet and cell phones and iPhones and texting and Facebook and email and iPads and iPods and DVDs and high-def TV and lots of other things that you know a lot better than I do. These things are wonders of technology, at least wonders to us, older folks, that you've grown up with and become very adept at. And that's okay. These things are fine. They're good. They're useful, productive, as long as you use them properly, that they don't take over your life, and that you don't become addicted to them. Now, you might have a sense of this, although you might not completely understand, that all of this technology, and I talked about, is relatively new, at least to people of my generation. When I was your age, when I was a student in Catholic school, this will be hard to believe, but we didn't have personal computers in our homes, in our classrooms. There was no such thing as the internet, or cell phones, or texting, or Facebook, or DVDs, or high-def TV. None of these things existed when I was your age. In our home, in most homes, there was one telephone in the house. And it was a little, you've probably never even seen one of these, a rotary phone. Do you know what a rotary phone is? No. It's a little dial you would have to dial to get a certain number, and you would have to wait till the dial would spin back again, then you would get the next number, and you would have to do this 7 or 8 or more times till you got the right telephone number. A rotary phone. And sometimes in the early days, that phone line wasn't even yours. You would share a party line with your neighbors. So if your neighbor across the street was using the telephone, you couldn't use your telephone at the same time. It was a party line. You had to take your turn. When I was a kid growing up, we got our music from what at that time we called the hi-fi, high fidelity, not Wi-Fi, hi-fi. And then later on, we were more progressive. We called it the stereo system. And most of our music came from little vinyl discs that would go around and around and around, either at 33 revolutions per minute or 45 revolutions per minute. Maybe you've seen some of the old-fashioned records that really now are keepsakes, and you could probably sell them and make some money for them now, I suppose. When I was growing up as a kid, most of the televisions we had access to were black and white. There were very, very few even color TVs. I remember standing with my mom and dad one time looking in a department store window because they had the first color TV in the city. And it was wonderful, except the colors weren't very good. They were all basically just sort of red and green and had lots of shadows and so forth. But that was a wonderful miracle, color TV. And go back home and everything was black and white and, had little rabbit ears on top of the television so you could adjust them and get the best picture in. And of all these things I'm talking about we didn't have, the worst of all, is that there was no remote control for the television. So every time you wanted to change the channel, you couldn't just push a button. Every time you wanted to change the channel, you had to get up, walk across the room, turn the dial, and get another channel. Now, that wasn't too complicated because there were only 3 or 4 channels anyhow. There was ABC, CBS, NBC, and perhaps public broadcasting. There were only 3 or 4 channels, so you weren't changing them very often anyhow. How quickly all the technology has changed and will continue to change very rapidly, perhaps even more rapidly as you continue to grow and make progress. All of this reflection leads me to what I really want to say about Lent. Because Lent, the season we begin today, from one perspective, is a very important time of communication. But this is important. It's a time of special, renewed communication with God. All the technology that surrounds us today, and you've probably experienced this, it can be a distraction. It can surround us and take us away from lots of other good and important things. And maybe one of the things we should try to fast from or abstain from during this season of Lent is some of our addiction to technology. Wouldn't it be wonderful, for example, if on the Fridays during Lent, what if we had text-free Fridays? No using of cell phones, no texting on Fridays during Lent, unless, of course, it's an emergency, and that emergency doesn't mean you have to order pizza. But if we were to abstain from, fast from some of our addiction to technology during the season of Lent, wouldn't that free us up to do lots of other good things? It would give us time, perhaps, to spend some time getting closer to God. And this is how we communicate with God, not only through technology, but through our prayer, our personal prayer, our silence, by listening to and thinking about the Word of God, by the sacraments we receive, by the little sacrifices that we offer up and the things that we give up for the sake of our spiritual life, and the good works we try to do, the works of charity and kindness and compassion for other people. These are the ways that we communicate with God. It's almost like a spiritual technology, not things that are wired into something else, but spiritual ways that we stay in communication with God. And all these things that we would do during Lent, and I'm sure you've thought about it, maybe talked about it in school, all the things you're going to do in a special way during Lent, whether it's giving something up or trying to do some good works of charity or forgiveness or perhaps spending some extra time in prayer and reflection. All these things have a purpose, and their purpose is to bring us closer to God, to help us to be more like Jesus Christ in our everyday life. St. Paul said in the second reading today, be reconciled to God. Return to God. Get closer to God. That's the purpose of this season of Lent. In just a moment now, we're about to bless and distribute the ashes you see right here. You receive the ashes on your forehead. Remember that that's a sign, that's a symbol that means something for us. The ashes that we receive, it's a sign that we are about to begin a journey of 40 days through the season of Lent that will conclude finally on Easter Sunday. But it's a journey that has a final target, has a final goal, a final destination. Our journey of 40 days should take us closer to God. And that's really important. Dear young friends, and also the adults who are present, remember, in the midst of this very high-tech world, God is the foundation of everything we do. God bless you.